were able to take to the car pretty quickly and set it up right. And, you know, a lot of people are, pretty much everyone's happy with the cars. So.
Great video footage that we are able to see from our lovely camera people out around the track working hard. But the drivers have their visors up. They don't have them down. And especially at a track that's so sandy as Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, I wouldn't expect that that's a driving preference. What did you find when driving the MX-5s around here?
You know, I definitely had my visor open most of the time, but if someone dropped the wheel in front of me, I would shut it real quick and then pop it back open because, you know, you do get a chance to get some fresh air. You know, even though you're in an open-top car, there isn't a lot of air that passes into the car. So you try to get every little bit that you can to stay cool. Yeah, it is an open top. It is a little bit cooler, but it's also nice to get some more fresh air into the helmet of yours.
John Dean, who came away from the first race at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca last year with the win. It was the 5th round of the championship at that point in time. Now we're starting out at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. It's a different look to the calendar for these guys, but still a fabulous group of tracks that they get to go to. Starting out Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, of course, for rounds 1 and 2, then up to Watkins Glen at the middle of May for rounds 3 and 4, Road America in June for 5 and 6, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in July, and then VIR and Road Atlanta. That's the kind of calendar that you really want to see on your schedule, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of big races in there, and they're going to be at Road America, you know, in the June sprints, which is going to be cool to have some of the club racers see, you know, what the pro level racing is like, you know. And you know, honestly, what a better, there's not much of a better track to make a debut other than the home of Mazda at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. So, you know, what a place to have 40 cars racing on the track. It's just crazy.
When you first get the email and you see the grid and you see that there are 40 cars, you go, whoa. And then you see the drivers that are in it and the consistency, but also the new names that are popping up. And you look at what they've done and how they choose to come into a series like this. It really makes you proud to be a part of this. As we have a 3-team battle, it looks like. There's an Alara car, the 11, fully going up the inside of Ara Malcolson and making it stick, making that look really easy.
Yeah, turn 10 isn't really a place you normally pass at. And Robbie got by him as well as, you know, Dean Copeland was able to get by him as well. And he passed around the outside getting into 11, was able to outbrake him. And now it looks like Ara's going backwards.
It looks like Patrick Gallagher is going to make a dive up the inside as well. Yeah, Ara had a very good start, and the person who started more MX-5 Cup races than anyone else, with more than 100, I believe, to the name. But yeah, we are getting a breakaway between John Dean and Mark Drennan, as they've got maybe 4 cars now over Robbie Foley.
It's going to be interesting to see what Robbie does here, and if Dean Copeland wants to work together with him to try to, you know, close that gap to the top 2. So, you know, if I was Robbie and I was Dean, I think I would be working with him to try to get up to those top 2. And Dean's a very smart guy. I've worked with him a couple times, like at Road America when I ran the Mazda MX-5 Cup in 2014. And usually I didn't have anyone up there helping me out. So Dean Copeland was very willing to want to work together and get up there. So I'm not surprised I wouldn't be surprised if they were, you know, working together. But, you know, Patrick Gallagher is very aggressive. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in this effort to try to get to the front.
The biggest surprise so far for me is the fact that Drake Kemper is back in the 10th position, and there is actually a big gap between he and Chris Stone, who's in 9th. Would that be strategy to drop back at all, save your tires maybe for a little bit later in the race, or do you think Drake is pushing and giving it everything?
You know, I think Drake is giving it all he's got right now. You know, if I was Robbie, you know, then you might be thinking about the strategy game on tire life, since they did run these BFG tires in qualifying. So, you know, there might be a little bit of a drop-off at the end of this race, but you know, I don't have a lot of experience with these tires, but I've heard a lot of great feedback on this.
Dean Copeland making a very bold move to go around Robbie Foley. He actually crossed the pit lane blend line, and he's up the inside through 2. He's hanging on, and Foley dropped a couple of wheels off the right side. He's not going to give that position up easily, though. He has now lost the 3rd place to Dean Copeland. Dean, who we saw get a couple of wins last year, but they weren't here.
Yeah.
And his racing here, we both saw his body language got aggressive in the car, that he really wanted a podium and just didn't quite get it.
Yeah, he didn't have the luck on his side at the previous year here, and looks like he's doing quite well now, and he's in 3rd place. And it was funny, Robbie talked to me a little bit before this race. He was like, "You think you can hold on the outside of turn 2 and make a pass stick?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And then he got passed, so I guess I was wrong.
Days.
But you know, given circumstances, I think he can hold on to it. But
and we now have a legitimate fight for the lead. Mark Drennan goes around the John Dean in the corkscrew, right, setting up before the corkscrew. Oh boy, I don't know if he's going to be able to pull anything, though. He has been looking very aggressive for the last few laps, and now he's got maybe half a car. Nah, we'll give him a full MX-5 length, but it's not going to be one of those cases where Dean lets him off to hide.
Yeah, you know, the cool thing about this series is, given that it is a brand new car, you know, there's a bunch of new teams up there, and Mark Drennan in that brand new series of it with a different team and racing with TFB, or sorry, Winding Road Racing, and making a pass stick on a 6 sideways team with John Dean, and it's pretty impressive to see, you know, a brand new team right at the front there.
The 50s brakes work really well, because going into the corkscrew, you could see where they were playing a game of chicken, and Mark just went that little bit further. That's what gave him the advantages. Ooh, he dropped a wheel coming underneath the Continental Tire bridge. Now he's coming out into the chute between 4 and 5, but he has that bright red, soul red, number 16 of John Dean all over him. A little brake check there, I noticed from the 50 as he was going under the speed bridge.
Yeah.
This is not going to be very long until 3, 4, and 5 are caught right back up with them. So just to give you guys a quick rundown, we've got Mark Drennan leading John Dean the 2nd. Dean Copeland is in 3rd. Robbie Foley 4th. Patrick Gallagher 5th. Aro Mockelson, after that great start, is now down to 6th. Nico Reger is 7th. Nate Sparks in the 8 car is in 8th. Then it's Chris Stone and Drake Kemper rounding out your top 10. 31 minutes to go in this race. We've already had 13. Boy, it feels like a lot longer than that, just with the great battling they've been giving us.
I was going to say, this just started.
Yeah. It's already settled into a nice rhythm, and it looks like everybody is just sort of going around doing their thing. Of course, Kenton, with learning these new cars, there are new challenges that go along as well. You helped develop the car. How similar is it in a driving style to what these guys would be used to?
You know, compared to the NC Mazda MX-5 Cup car, you know, it's pretty wildly, drastically different. As far as driving style goes, though, it's pretty similar. It's just how you drive the car. You know, it handles pretty similar to what an NA or NB MX-5 Miata would be, just because of the lightness. The car stops really well. It gets around the corner really well. You know, this car now has some pretty good torque with the high compression Skyactiv technology that they've got in it. So they're pretty quick little cars that weigh pretty much nothing. But yeah, the driving styles are relatively similar. It's just they have different characteristics.
Ooh, somebody goes way off underneath the bridge, and that was the number 13 making a big expedition off onto the dust. That'll be Brent Mosing. He knows better than that. Come on, Brent. He's raced, or Kenny Murillo in the Alara racing car. A lot of racing experience for that organization, and just getting it a bit wrong coming out of turn 3, letting the car drift, and ooh, it looks like the back just snapped out on him.
Yeah, he got a little loose, overcorrected, went off the edge of the road on the exit of turn 3 there. You know, he's having a good little battle with his teammates in one of the Winding Road cars. But, you know, Kenny is, you know, the son of great engineer Ken Murillo, the engineer that runs that the Alara program over there. It's really cool to see, you know, Ken's son actually get a shot at competing in this series. He's done a couple Spec Miata races. He's tested this car a couple times, and you know, when he told me that he was, or when I saw the Facebook post when he was running in the series, I was blown away and surprised, and I'm quite frankly very happy and surprised to see how well he's actually doing in this very competitive series.
So many cars out running around. It would be easy to go from 1st to 40th with just a quick little off. And we have seen that in this series in the past, Kenton. At this track last year, we saw, who was it that went from 1st to like 19th in the span of a lap?
You know, I can't remember off the top of my head.
But you do remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, there was I think a spin in 9 and possibly a little incident there.
Ooh, 1 through 5 are getting nice and close together. It looks like the gap between them is about 2 seconds total from 1st to 5th, as it looks like Mark Drennan and John Dean have lost their bit of a gap back, and the snake behind them has worked together. Now we do have a 5-car battle for the lead, and we still have 28 minutes left of this.
You know, typically last year you would see, you know, 5-car packs, you know, at tracks like Road America, like I say, the Talladega of Miata racing. And here at Mazda Raceway, these cars have proven to race quite well, and the fact that the top 5 are racing right nose to tail.
A good move by Gareth Nixon on Michael Collins there. The white Miata going around the almost shark gray and orange. Almost is it a blue? I can't tell from the TV pictures.
It is a blue. It's that's one of the cars from Meathead Motorsports, and that's,
yes,
it's quite a cool name for a team, and you know they're doing quite well. As they're also many of the new teams out there.
Oh boy! And now we have Dean Copeland coming into play with our leaders.
Yep.
John Dean taking a very wide line. Ooh, dropping a wheel. He's trying to go for the momentum move though, and he's going up the inside.
Oh.
Did he get it back? Did he get it back? He did! Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you teach him that?
Oh, well, I guess he might have overheard my little comment with Robbie. John was able to make it stick around the outside of 2 there, and what a pass, man. He used that car perfectly as a pick with lap traffic there, and you know, it looks like we're getting into traffic, and John Dean gets a little sideways on the entry there. Look, oh, there we go.
Ooh. Mark Drennan coming back in the 50. They aren't quite side by side, but give it time. That'll be another dive down the corkscrew. Now we have Dean Copeland dropping wheels too wide, going through turn 6 up the hill. That's a very big hill. And Robbie Foley now looking to take advantage of well. It's giving John Dean a chance to sort of run out ahead of the rest. And oh, Robbie Foley gets very squirrely under braking. He punts the 50 a little bit. Then we get a hip check from the 7. Oh, this is getting a bit rough as the 72 takes advantage. Now Robbie Foley back to 5th.
You're gonna get a chance to take a breath maybe once.
I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, that was a crazy little battle there. 2 wide through 6 for Mark Drennan and Dean Copeland. Mark able to hold that spot and you know, shuffled Robbie back a couple positions, but
able to hold it for now.
For now. Yeah.
For that lap. I was worried that we had seen that great move by the 50 into the corkscrew, that we were going to see that and maybe go 3 wide, which I would not highly recommend. Is wow, these guys, we just saw Mark Drennan dive way down across the pit blend line to try and defend from the 7 of Dean Copeland. Patrick Gallagher just hanging out back there in the 72, though. He's holding off Robbie Foley. Wow. Any one of these 5 could win. If the race ended this lap, any one of those 5 could win.
Wow, Mark went way off the track there in 3, still able to hold off, but you know, looks like he's showing some signs of overdriving, and I think Dean might be getting into his head a little bit, but you know, it's going to be quite interesting to see how this plays out with Dean Copeland making a little juke to the inside maybe, but holds it.
He made that juke, and it gave Patrick Gallagher the opportunity to try and take the line that Dean had abandoned, but those 4, 2nd through 5th position, all running together. You could throw a sheet over all of them, but it's given the opportunity to the championship defending leader of John Dean, because he has now managed to stretch out a bit of a gap. He doesn't need to worry about anybody punting him through the corkscrew, and they all behaved that time through. They kept line of stern, and it's gosh, I don't know how many more laps of this we can take, Kenton.
You know, it looks like Patrick has some pace there, and I think, you know, he might just be getting held up just a little bit from Dean Copeland. I think if he gets ahead of Dean, he might have a pretty good shot at Mark, just because he's got that pace. But, you know, when you have cars in front of you drafting together, it can get quite difficult trying to make a draft pass on the person in front of you, because they have a draft too. So when you're 5th, 4th, or 2nd, or sorry, 5th, 4th, and 3rd right around there, it makes it quite difficult to pass. So you got to be pretty aggressive with how you do make those passes, and that's why you saw Robbie, when he was in third, you know, try to get by, you know, try to defend his position from Dean Copeland when he made the pass around the outside going into the corkscrew. And that pass on the outside is quite difficult. So the risk factor of trying to go from 6th or 5th or 4th, even like up to 3rd, you know, is quite risky. And in a championship that's 12 races long, you know, you want to be careful. And, you know, a 3rd, 4th, or 5th place is a good championship points, you know, position, but you know, you gotta, you know, risk versus reward in this scenario. And
especially given that they have another race tomorrow, you don't want to take a chance of doing damage to your car, yes, but you really don't want to take a chance of damaging it when you have to have the car ready for a green flag tomorrow as they go 3 wide in the jaunt between turns 4 and 5. Things got a little squirrely there, but everybody behaved, which is nice, as our leaders coming back into the corkscrew, and John Dean has that 50 a little bit closer in his mirror. When he came out of the final turn on that last lap, he got a bit squirrely. It took away some of his speed, scrubbed it off, so it gave the 50 a chance to catch back up, and now it's 1-2, pause, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, Mark is caught right back up to the back of John, and it looks like John's missing his apexes just a little bit. You know, he definitely lost some time that lap to Mark, as he just put together a stellar lap, pulling away from Dean Copeland a little bit, catching up to the leader of John Dean. So this is turning into another battle between Mark and John, and you know, we'll see what happens. He's getting quite close now. And
he's making the move down the inside through turn 1. That seems to be one of his favorite places, that and the corkscrew. But John going very deep on the brakes. He's going to try and do the over-under here. Ooh, big shot of exhaust flames. That's cool. As Mark makes the pass stick, but John Dean has the momentum on his side. And now, because of that pass, we've got 3, 4, and 5 right back with them again. This is, honestly, how do you make racing like this? Well, you bring out a Global MX-5 Cup car, I guess, to answer my own question.
Yeah, the platform is quite amazing, and racing ever since the beginning of the Miata has been absolutely stellar, and you know, it continues with the Global MX-5 Cup car, the ND. You know, this great series is going to be a one to watch. You know, the battery tender Global MX-5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich.
We just saw Corey Ruth there going back from the lead of his little pack, dropping down quite a bit. It looks like a lot of these guys watching their mirrors and really focusing on that. How much of a mental game is that, Kenton?
You know, it's when there's battles going on behind you and you're in the middle of it, it's absolutely crazy, and it takes you know, a strong head to try to, you know, keep you know, the guys behind you and to keep hitting your marks. But it looks like we had some jumbles going up.
Oh boy, as 750 are going for 2nd place. We've all of a sudden got John Dean with a bit of a lead, and Robbie Foley wants in on it too, as he's going down the inside, but it's still going to be the 50. I think Foley's going to have a look at Dean Copeland, though, down the straight. No, he's not. He didn't get the good kick off, and Patrick Gallagher might get Robbie Foley now too.
Yeah, Robbie needs to go down into the pit lane there, as he does to defend. Patrick very aggressive, as we've seen in the past, and you know, Mark went from 1st to 2nd and almost to 3rd in the matter of 2 turns in the famous corkscrew there. So it looks like now John's got a good little gap.
Dean Copeland looking very racy there, though. He's got the blood in the water. He knows that he can get around the 50 if only Mark would give him an opportunity to do so. We are more than halfway through the race at this point, and going to welcome a very special guest into the booth. It's been quite the introduction for John Doonan to the Mazda MX-5 Global Cup, as it looks Robbie Foley gets around Dean Copeland, and Dean going well off course there. He's kicking up lots of dust. Patrick Gallagher's going to get past him too. John, you've been sitting here watching this race. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, unbelievable, Shay, and all of us at Mazda are absolutely thrilled to be able to launch the Global MX-5 Cup format here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. 94 customers have decided to invest in what we termed at the very beginning the best value in sports car racing. 64 cars delivered, 40 plus committed to the Pro Series for the season here in the battery tender MX-5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich, and the entire staff, everyone at Mazda, David Cook, Steve Sanders, Mike Allen.
Oh, and the
there
50
it is, turn 11.
goes around. That was Mark Drennan. I didn't look. Maybe he had some help from behind, but there's no real damage to the rear of that car that at least we can see from the current camera angle. But the most upsetting part is that's going to take him right out of contention, at least for the time being. It means that we now have Patrick Gallagher up to second, Dean Copeland third, Robbie Foley fourth, and Nico Reger is in fifth as we get to see a replay here in the booth of what happened. Robbie Foley right behind him goes in for the break. Oh yeah, big help there. But at least it was square on. At least it wasn't on an angle. So Mark was able to recover fairly quickly. We'll see 8th place might get passed by Nate Sparks, who's currently in 9th, but Mark Drennan has a good deal of time to make up, now 8 seconds back from the main battle.
But as I was saying, to put something together like this, it takes a team of people. Everyone on our side in the Mazda competition parts group at Mazda Motorsports, David Cook, Steve Sanders, Mike Allen, and Scott Kaluza are here supporting, James Painter. Everybody at Long Road Racing, they brought an army of folks here to support the first event. But you know, people forget a year ago was really the first on-the-ground testing here at this event, and Glenn Long, his wife Alana, Tom Long did most of the driving, Andrew Carbonell, Kenton, the entire staff there, Jay and Matt Brogan and Chad, and you just have all this team of folks. BF Goodrich brought a team of folks to really come together, look at the landscape, keep the tradition of providing a reliable, cost-effective package for drivers to develop their talent at Mazda. And what a great car the MX-5 has been for our brand. We just sold or produced the 1 millionth MX-5 this past week, and so it's a pretty special deal.
And we see the 41 Nicholas Ivanicic off the side of the track. That might bring out a full course caution. He's well offline. He's out of the line of danger in terms of people making dumb moves in that area. I wouldn't expect that. We have stayed green this whole time, and with 17 minutes to go, getting a replay, and no contact. That's the good news for him. It's smart driving, though, have to say, from Nicholas to pull well offline. John, in terms of coming into the series, bringing back Battery Tender as the main sponsor, you've got so many new cars, so many drivers out here who chose to come from other forms of racing, and your returning series champion actually returned, unlike some people who, you know, win and then leave. Kenton, what does it mean to Mazda to have that kind of support all around from every party?
Well, you mentioned Battery Tender. They're a terrific group of folks. They're part of the Mazda family now. We have felt that this was a terrific platform to showcase their product. The drivers, the teams here are the end users of the great Battery Tender product. BF Goodrich, our companies, we were talking yesterday, we've been doing things together in racing since the early 70s in the old IMSA RS series. We went to Le Mans and won together in 1984. So we continue the tradition of Mazda and BF Goodrich working together. Both of our brands are focused on enthusiasts who love driving. That's what Mazda's all about. So that all of that coming together has been fantastic. And then you use the pillar of this terrific little sports car, and things happen. And again, to see this many cars at the first race, I'm not sure that any race car has been launched in the history of motorsports with 40 cars on the grid. It's absolutely terrific.
And it sounds fantastic as well when they go past you on the track, because we're just seeing Patrick Gallagher going past a lapped car, the number 29 of Justin Raphael. They're using the headlights to flash, and I've never seen headlights flash like that. Is that a new feature? As Robbie Foley finally manages to get around Dean Copeland up the inside of turn 5, he'll be able to make that stick through turn 6 since he is on the preferred line. What sort of other tricks did you guys incorporate into the car? Because that was sort of a scary flashing motion from the headlights.
Well, the beauty, Shay, is we didn't have to. The Mazda engineers in Japan and here in the U.S. Have built an amazing car, and over the generations of the MX-5, you thought, you know, can they get it better? Can they get it better? And obviously, it's evidence here and an evidence of the World Car of the Year award that was awarded at the New York Auto Show. They have made it better, and outside of the safety equipment, outside of the dynamic dampers and the Paget brake pads and the raised wheels and the things that are really motorsports environment components, we didn't have to put any magic in this car. The magic comes off the assembly line, and again, the best-selling two-seat sports car in the history of the world, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. And the key thing here is global. We have colleagues listening from Mazda Europe, Mazda Australia, Mazda Japan, and the intention has always been to take this format, take this program that we have here in the U.S. and duplicate it around the world to bring drivers together for a global final sometime at the end of the season, which in the case of 2016 is going to be right back here in September at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca for the Global Invitational. My staff, Jim Bowie, Kyle Kimball, they're working on that right now, and we're excited to see what it brings.
Hopefully we will get even more than 40 cars, although I don't know how the racing could get any better than what we're seeing out on track. A couple of seconds ago, we saw Nico Reger taking an interesting line through the corkscrew, but Nico has put in the fastest lap time so far, not obviously shortcutting the corkscrew. It was a lap before that. We get so many diverse drivers from so many different backgrounds, and we get these scholarship winners. We've got Glenn McGee running, who came from a gaming background. So you guys have decided to invest in people's futures through this series. What sort of benefits do the Mazda Scholarship winners get from winning a championship like this?
Well, the Mazda Road to 24, as we've termed it, kind of the sister to our Mazda Road to Indy, is all about that driver development and giving people the opportunity to grow their career in a Mazda or a Mazda-powered vehicle as it is on the open-wheel side. And the drivers from our grassroots program, you mentioned Mark Drennan earlier, Glenn McGee, they all went to our grassroots shootout to earn a $100,000 scholarship to compete for a full season here in the MX-5 Cup. The MX-5 champions have the opportunity to win $200,000 to go to the next level of Mazda prototype lights. Or in recent years, we've had drivers take that to the Continental Sports Car Challenge. And then the cream of the crop, the Tom Longs of the world, who is part of the duo that was P1 this morning in the WeatherTech Championship. They were running in this series 5 years ago. And so our intention as a brand is to develop drivers and give them the opportunity to grow their careers in this sport. And from the highest levels of our executive team to employees that are on our staff who race themselves, everyone understands that the Mazda brand is all about driving, and that's what we do here at the racetrack. And to see Robbie have an opportunity, we got a couple of them come together.
We had things getting a little bit too excited as they came out of turn 2 and then 3, where it ultimately culminated. That is the 75, it looks like, Michael Collins in the car with the livery we were actually talking about a bit earlier, the blue-orange, as Nico Reger goes way off. And, or no, that's not Nico Reger. Woof, that scared me. It's Dan Martinson, who went off just out of turn 6, managed to keep it pointed in the right direction and keep his momentum up, more impressively, going up that steep hill. And just a couple seconds back now from the battle he had previously been involved with. But Dan went into that turn in first and came out of it last of his little battle at the very least. Very impressive driving to keep the foot planted and keep the thing going in the right direction. Well, John, thank you so much for being here. Mazda's still the only Japanese manufacturer to win at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and I really hope we see you back there soon.
Well, we'll hopefully do that, but I think the exciting part is the idea that some of these drivers one day could be having that opportunity through the Mazda Road to 24, and we're thrilled. We appreciate the coverage you guys have provided, and there's a new car at the point.
There is. Patrick Gallagher has gone around our defending champion, John Dean, the 72, now leading the way, 10 minutes remaining in this race. And wow. Okay, now I'm going to ask you again, Kenton, who wins?
I don't know.
Same answer. Exactly.
It's starting to play itself out, though. The race is, played itself out a little bit. John Dean, Patrick, like I said earlier, Patrick has got some pace. Obviously, he drove all the way back up to John, and now it's got a little bit of a gap. And the thing is, these cars actually draft a little bit better. than the NC did. So if you can actually pull a little bit of a gap in this brand new ND Global MX-5 Cup car, it's even more impressive than pulling a gap last year.
It looks like John Dean might have used up his tires as he got a bit squirrely there at a place where you don't normally see cars moving around 9 out, then into 10. The car was just moving around that little bit more. That might be Patrick Gallagher's secret, as he was sort of biding his time for a while, and he is now stretching out. He's got 2 MX-5 Cup car lead over John Dean, but 3, 4, and 5 are still together. Dean Copeland now in 3rd, Nico Reger up to 4th, Robbie Foley in 5th, and Mark Drennan, who had that spin with some assistance, making his way back up the charts. He's into 6th now.
Yeah, he's making his way up making his way back up to that 3rd through 5th packet right there, and he's doing a great job of driving back up there. It's quite impressive actually to see him make up that bit of a deficit. And earlier on, when you were talking to John, I saw Nico Reger, come back into play here. I had no idea he was even there until he came there. So it's quite cool to see, as he pops on Dean for that 3rd place position.
It's the Jaws effect. You cue the music and you just reel them in slowly. Nico, who had a good run at the last couple of races of the last year where he got 2 wins, that honestly, it was one of these races you didn't know who was going to win until the checkered flag fell. And I seem to remember he was in 4th at the start of the last lap on the last race and then wound up winning.
Yeah, you have no idea who's going to win this race, and even though that John Dean and Patrick Gallagher do have a little bit of a gap on that the pack behind them, you never know what can happen. These guys can scuff it up a little bit, lose some time, and 3rd through 5th can be on their back bumpers in a heartbeat. And they're obviously showing some pace back there as well, so they're not exactly pulling away. There was just a little bit of a scuffle that was able to separate them by a little bit, but Nico came on a charge late in this race, and he came from what it was 6th now up to 3rd, and looks like he's got some pace now to maybe catch John, but the thing is there's not much time left in this race.
Exactly, 7 minutes 12 seconds remaining, and the lap times, the best we've seen was a 1:41, a low 1:41, and they're doing about 1:42s on average, so they're not far off the best time, but still that doesn't mean we're going to get much more than 3, maybe 4 laps, depending on where these guys are when the checkered flag comes out.
Yeah, Robbie is trying. He's driving his heart out, man. He's throwing the car everywhere, trying to get past Dean as he got passed by Dean Copeland there, and he's dropping wheels left and right. And earlier on in this race, as he was on the brakes, it just looked like the car was super squirrely, as you see it a little bit on the brakes there as well. It looks like the getting into the corner, the car could be just a little bit loose, maybe not so confidence-inspiring, and might be causing him to drop back a little bit later on in this race as the rear tires have worn off.
Lap traffic is starting to play a real factor for cars trying to make their way back up into the top 10, as Nate Sparks was trying to get around a couple of people. Mark Drennan had a couple of lap cars that he was dealing with, and that's part of the greatness. When you have 40 cars on track, you're going to have that to deal with, that to contend. And it's beneficial to the guys who are getting lapped, because now they can watch guys with faster lines.
Yeah, no, that definitely can be something to help them, get up to speed just a little bit more. But, it also makes it real interesting for the leaders trying to get through those guys, as they do tend to catch up to the back of the pack just a bit quicker, because there are much more cars, this year in this series. And, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays into, well, how it's already played into, to the things that have happened in this race. So, yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this race we have here.
I can tell when John was in, you were sitting back there. Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh, I wouldn't have done that. Ooh, bad move. Ooh, nicely done. The commentary from behind us. We should give a shout out also to the 23 Glenn McGee, making his debut in this series. He is in the Mazda Road to 24 scholarship car, and he's currently sitting P10. So that means he has done better than 30 other cars making his racing debut in this series. That's well done.
Yeah, when you think 10th place, you're like, oh, that could be better. But when you say 4 out of 40 cars,
yeah,
like, 10th place out of 40 cars is really dang good, especially, you know, someone coming from iRacing and coming from a gaming background straight into a series that he's pretty much never driven anything else other than iRacing. And the fact that he's in it now, being quite competitive, you know, just shows, you know, how, you know, an iRacer, you know, who is playing in their, you know, their living room could actually make their debut in this this wonderful series. And, you know, it just gives hope to those iRacers who are, you know, paying $90 a year to play iRacing. So.
He's got some pretty cool associations, though. He was a teammate at one point to Jonathan Somerton, who was a 12 Hours of Sebring winner. He did some kart racing in Florida and was actually noticed by Wayne Taylor because he was out there with the Taylor brothers and beat them on a couple of occasions. So that got people's attention. He's raced with Christian Simchek, who is a former champion in this series, and Tristan Nunez. And if you don't know who Tristan Nunez is, go down to the paddock and look for the guy with the biggest smile on his face wearing a Mazda shirt. That would be Tristan. So he does have some really good experience as he makes a pass around a lap car. We were saying these lap cars playing an effect when they're all the same, and it really is whose line is better. It makes it a battle within a battle, even if you're not going for a position.
You know, you're constantly always trying to improve and find those last little hundredths of a second, tenths of a second. You know, it's definitely tricky to find every last little bit. You know, as we did, you know, have those qualifying times very, very close. You know, it just proves the equality of all these cars, and also shows driver skill.
Yeah, it's the #1, proving yet again. You know, I really think that Dan Martinson is more comfortable off the track than he is, because he lost it coming through turn 3, kept his foot planted through 4, was well off the track in between 4 and 5, and then finally managed to find the pavement again. Didn't lose any positions, though. It was pretty much a replay of what he did up through 6, but that, to me, that might be the move of the race, was that move up through 6, because I walked the track yesterday, and that part of track, oh boy, it's steep.
Yeah, you don't want to go off there. And, you know, earlier on when he went off at turn 6, he almost nearly collected the wall at 80 miles an hour, it seemed like, and he was sideways heading towards it, got it gathered up and brought it right back up the hill. But, you know, I'm starting to think we should give him some off-roading tires from BFG.
They do make nice rally tires, that's true.
Put some all-seasons on there, he's going to be doing real good.
We didn't see the white flag for our leader, Patrick Gallagher, this last time by, with a minute and 50 seconds to go. But John Dean, again with the Jaws music, he's reeled Gallagher back in. There is now a car between them, and they are going between 4 and 5. Dean staying perfectly in line, though. He knows that to make his move, he has to be patient, because if you make it too early, well, it not only tells the guy where you're going to try and pass him, but how you're going to do it. Nico Reger still in 3rd, Dean Copeland 4th, Robbie Foley is 5th, and Mark Drennan all the way back up to 6th. See, now, in a normal scenario, that would concern me, having the guy who was punted right behind the guy who punted him.
Yeah.
But I know that these guys are going to be a bit more responsible than that. At least I would hope so, is lap traffic for the 72 and the 16 trying to get around the 63. That might have hurt John Dean's case to try and win this race, Kenton.
Yeah, Patrick was able to get around lap traffic just in the right spot and putting John in the bad position, you know, coming around the outside of one of the lap traffic cars in the corkscrew. But, you know, another cool thing about this series is, you know, you can actually tell which driver is the Mazda Motorsports development drivers with that red denoted car livery with the white stripes.
The Soul Red.
Yeah,
and
so
white flag is out. This will be last lap for these guys. 2.238 miles to go, and now they've already done a good chunk of that, because the stretch down turn 1 through turn 2 and into turn 3, that's a good portion of the track. Actually, walking it, you notice that more than you do just seeing cars drive it. 72 continues to lead, and ooh, John Dean caught right back up to him, though. Patrick Gallagher, unless he's got something left, it looks like John Dean is going to have a go at getting around him.
Yeah, this is quite close. He's right
there. He goes. John Dean making the move up the inside means Patrick Gallagher will have the shorter way around the corner, but John Dean should have the quicker way as they go through turn 5. Patrick Gallagher managing to hold them off through that, but John Dean knows he's got the car to win. Patrick Gallagher maybe a little bit less comfortable with his 72.
Yeah, it's good to see that there's no traffic in front of him, so there's not going to be really anything to affect this race.
John Dean giving a quick little dab to the brake pedal as Patrick Gallagher goes very much to the inside to try and defend that line through the corkscrew. And John Dean kicking the tail out a bit, not intentionally, of course, but they are, oh, they're so close to going side by side through turn 9. Guys, come on. You have one more opportunity down here. Not close enough to get him through turn 10, but John Dean looks like he's going to make a move through turn 11. Remember, you've got a race tomorrow. Don't risk your car. Is he going to do it? He's close. He's close. He's not close enough, though. It looks like it will be Patrick Gallagher who checks his rearview mirror to make sure that John Dean is staying behind him and raises his hand in the air, fist triumphant. Patrick Gallagher winning the first race of the season and of the weekend. John Dean coming in second, and Nico Reger with the third place. He gets a podium upon his debut in the big class with these Global MX-5 Cup cars.
Very impressive first race for the series. This Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup Series presented by BF Goodrich. It's going to be something to watch throughout the season.
Robbie Foley comes home in 4th. Mark Drennan, a top 5 finish. You wouldn't have guessed that after seeing him turned in that final corner. Good job by him in the 50. Chris Stone brings his first race. He finishes 6th. Dean Copeland falls all the way to 7th. Ara Malkason finishes in 8th after such a good start. Nate Sparks is 9th. And Glenn McGee, as we were saying, top 10 finish on debut. That's something to be proud of. But it's Patrick Gallagher's day as he is driving around the track, waving to everyone and anyone, fist held high in the air. And John Dean is celebrating right alongside him as, did we have a little bit of maybe argy-bargy after the checkered flag? Oh, 39 just slid out a bit into Drake Kemper, but that was Corey Ruth. Didn't look like it should affect anything, though. They didn't really hit. It was more of a love tap.
Yeah, Drake was able to give him a little bit of room. I think that was probably a last lap dive there, coming to the checkered flag. So, yeah, all is clean. Whoa,
ooh, but
mind.
Yeah, no, that wasn't clean. Corey Ruth trying to climb the side of the 99 with the right front of his car, the 39. Looks like it did a little bit more damage than we thought. And ooh, did Drake nudge him off track? No, that was the 27. Ooh, that was Nick Godalski. Drake just getting involved with quite a few people as this race comes to a close, but take nothing away from what Patrick Gallagher was able to accomplish today. Starting off the season the best way possible, pulls up to a bunch of very happy teammates. A celebration for tonight, at least.
That's Adam and Kenton Kirk. Thank you very much. That's the first round, the inaugural round of the brand new Battery Tender Global MX-5 Challenge with the new iteration of MX-5. It's been a great start to the season. There's another race later on this weekend, and you'll be able to follow that and the rest of the season live here on RadioLeMans.com.